Hey everybody, welcome to Out the Trunk with Jordan and Darius. This is our movie review segment. My name is Jordan. You can find me on all socials at Jordy B Writing.
And I'm Darius. That's D is all up in your area on all socials.
And today we're going to be reviewing Still Alice. This movie came out in 2014, starring Julianne Moore, Kristen Stewart, yes, from Twilight, Alec Baldwin from Everything, Kate Bosworth, and Hunter Parrish. This movie is about a lady named Alice Howland, who is a renowned linguistics professor at Columbia University who seems to have it all. However, her life takes a devastating turn when she is diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease. As a Brazilian, wow, as the brilliant academic begins to lose her grip on her memories and her language, she and her family face an agonizing test of love, identity, and resilience. So I'll toss it to you for Act One.
Act one, the slipping words. Alice is at the top of her professional game when she begins to uncharacteristically forget words during a lecture and gets disoriented while out for a routine jog on her own campus. A subsequent trip to a neurologist delivers a shocking diagnosis, early onset Alzheimer's. And let me just say, I didn't want to interrupt you at the beginning, but I you'd be hard pressed to find a more perfectly casted movie. It's
No, yeah, really.
it Everyone fit into their roles perfectly. And I felt like I was a fly on the wall for some family drama, and I
Yeah.
don't know, it's just like I everyone was like perfect for their role, and it was perfectly casted. And
hmm
I did well, I'll just go for you for your first one because mine is a little later in the act. So, what you got for your first
Okay.
observation?
First observation. Um, Man, Julianne Moore, like literally, like the performance of a lifetime and a career in this movie. Like she was so brilliant. The way you can not only just like the character, you see the deterioration of her, state of being, but it's almost like her face looks different throughout the course of the movie. Like she
Yeah.
looks like she like aged throughout the course of the whole ordeal. Um, she was mindful while also being absent-minded at the same time
Yeah.
because of the condition she's portraying. It wasn't like she was playing some drunk who blacked out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It could have been very camp or very, very tasteful if done improperly. Um, and she did the complete opposite. Like her performance was incredible in this movie.
Yeah, she performed it in a way that made you feel like you were watching
Your mom or
um
something.
not even like your mom, just like you were watching some like Lifetime show about times in an old people home. And it
Yeah.
was um there's just little things where and like the way the family, and that's why I said the family casting was so perfect because in the beginning they just caught it but didn't like your parents get a little older and whatever, and like
Right.
she's setting out a charcuterie board in the beginning, and like
hmm
uh I think his son's girlfriend or whatever says hi, woo, woo, woo. And then when she
Yeah.
comes out and hands it to the table, she like repeats a question that she had already asked her.
Uh-huh.
And even the girlfriend just kind of did what anyone would do. They go, yeah, 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 and just answered it again
Right.
because and it's just there are so many moments where this movie could have become cartoonish, and they just never
It
gave in to
didn't.
that
Yeah.
that desire. What I liked about it was that when she visits UCLA for her lecture, she's talking to her youngest
hmm
daughter, who, you get three kids, there's always one like wayward one. And she's got one
Right.
kid who's in law school, one kid who's in med school, and one like basically a struggling actor. And she
Right.
does what any linguist married to a Harvard researcher would do. She wants her child to go to college. And her
Right.
child is just like, stop trying to make me
Me, you.
you or just like everyone else in the family. But
Right.
the movie does a good job because that character, Kirsten Stewart's character, is the one who
hmm
ended up accepting their mom for where she was. Like she was the
I,
only
I
one who
have that
wasn't
note.
trying to fix her mom,
Correct.
and um, she could have been petty about it, but
Yeah.
it's just, it's revealing my true feelings about the movie. But it's just a really, really great way
Yeah.
to it's just a smart movie, for lack of a better word. It's just a
Yeah. Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really smart movie. And so I just thought that was really good. What else you got for Act One?
That's funny. I put the same thing. I had that for Act Three, but I thought it was interesting that the quote unquote most disappointing child was the one who saw who had the most clear vision of her. She's the one that saw her the best. Um, you kind of brought it up earlier. The way they show the slow decline in her, you know. cognitive abilities was incredible. Like just the, oh, you didn't tell me that we had dinner plans tonight, or even the bit with the girlfriend. Like I watched the movie twice, and I missed that. Like it was so subtle, I missed it. And it just kind of shows like we all forget things, so it's easy to pass it off as, oh, she's just forgetful, or oh, she probably has a lot going on. She's a busy professor. She's got students and office hours and all this stuff to keep track of. She's writing books, she's giving speeches. Who could juggle it all? Who could possibly remember everything? Um,
Of course, she forgot my name. She's a, what, she's,
right.
this, and
She's an
she's got a
important
class to
lady. She
teach.
meets a lot of people every day. She
But
sees
then,
teaches 100 kids.
but it just becomes like a lot of coincidences.
Hmm.
Like she gets the review at work and she's like, students are noticing like you're trailing off in class, and
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, just well, the big moment that hit her is when she went jogging and got lost. And I've read that's how it
Yeah.
is. Like the little slip ups you could excuse, but then something happens that just makes you go, whoa. And then you go
Yeah.
see, whatever happened. And I love the note of the urologist where she's just like, he's like, because you're so smart, you've probably worked around it way longer than you believe, and you're
Mm,
probably more advanced. Like her deterioration felt rapid, probably because she was so smart, she had learned to manage it without knowing she was managing it, and she was actually
right.
further along in her disease than anyone knew.
Yeah.
So how long was she probably meticulously taking notes because she was getting more
She
forgetful?
was forgetting. Yeah.
And so I just thought that was a nice little touch on how the movie explains away the obvious trope of the genius person being mentally ill. It's like, no,
Right.
she's probably a lot sicker than we know because she's worked around it for so long.
Correct. And the
Um,
drop off would not be precipitous.
right.
So like, well, let me phrase it. If it was not a precipitous drop off, no one would notice because she was already so much smarter than probably most of the people she was around anyway.
Correct.
Um,
And everyone just probably feels like, man, she's feeling normal.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. They're probably like,
Um,
oh, she's having a rough day, or you know
she
what I
used to
mean?
knock out that crossword puzzle in an hour, and now she's doing it she's not finishing them, and so.
Right. Um, yeah, and even like I think that's her intelligence and her, self-sufficiency was a big part of why she felt the need to keep it a secret. I don't think it was just so to protect her family, or to ego protection or anything like that. I think it was more so just like I don't want to accept that I'm quote unquote less than I used to be, or I'm not as sharp as I once was.
Agent's wild though, man, because like it's hard to, yeah, it's like there are little tests I do to keep myself sharp. That's a question I have in Act Two. And
Mm,
it's like it's hard to discern what's like, I work out, and it's hard to discern what's something I should, go to a doctor to see what injury and what's going to
right.
recover. And that line changes as, I'm approaching 40. There are things
Yeah.
now where it's like I'm working through this bicep strain, and I'm on week 5 or 6 now, and I'm still not carrying like heavy loads. And I
Right.
know 10 years ago this would have been out of 3 days. Like I wouldn't even taken time off,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now it's just like your body just stops responding like it used to, and it's hard. It's a mind fuck because you still remember the resiliency of youth, and and she's a
Hmm.
little older. I think she was 52 in the movie or something like that.
Hmm.
And I mean, her poor husband. I mean, it's hard. I understand how it could happen and you just not even know it's happening because like the doctor said, you
Right.
just learn to work around it. You're smart enough to almost trick yourself.
Correct. And even especially with technology now, you can just make I'm can be forgetful from time to time, and I just put a lot of shit in my notes. Like
Yeah.
if let's say I had it, I wouldn't know because I'd be using my notes anyway. So there's all these fail safes we have, which makes it harder to keep track of our decline, we're so reliant on technology. Our mind is doing less work.
Yeah, like I said, I won't step on my question later, but like there are things I do
Mhm.
analog that I just if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And I just remember one like I don't like how many numbers do you have memorized, do you think?
Oh shit.
I thought about that
Yeah.
the other day and I was like, I have my sister's number memorized, and ex-girlfriend's numbers memorized just because it's just I knew her from when we didn't, have cell phones like
Before,
that. So it's just like
yeah.
that. And my parents' house phone because it's been the same my whole life. But like
Hmm.
any number that I've gotten in the past 15 years.
Yeah.
It's just a name in my phone. It's not a number.
Right, yeah. That's funny. Actually, yeah, same. The numbers I memorized, my house phone, we don't even use a house phone anymore, so
Yeah.
what do I need that number for in my head? My mom's phone number, she's had the same number for forever. My dad's phone number changed a lot, so I don't have his number memorized anymore. Uh, it's funny, actually. I remember having this conversation with an ex-girlfriend, and we're talking about that, and I was like, only phone number I know is 911 and my mom's. And she like was mad that I didn't have her phone number memorized to the point where she's like, I memorize numbers that are important to me. And it's like, okay, I'll memorize your number. Like, chill out. But like, yeah,
But like it's like there is something to you automate that and move that out of like that cognitive load and make room for other things too. Like
right,
I can't start a fire from scratch with sticks and leaves anymore, but like that cognitive burden is onto more complex tasks. Like I'm not,
right,
I can just turn on my stove and now I can cook things that a caveman never would have figured out because he was too busy
right,
starting fires with sticks and letters. So there is something
right.
to, hey, we moved memorization of phone numbers out and move something else in. Just got to make
Correct.
sure that something else moves in.
Right. Yeah. It's
So
like, I don't need to know how to start a fire, but I do need to know how to change a tire.
correct. So let me ask you this. Set it up for the
Yeah.
audience. The Alzheimer's she had was genetic, and well, all Alzheimer's is genetic, but this was like her early
Yeah.
onset was very clearly like passed down to her children and has like a 100% you will get it if you have the gene
Right.
thing. And there's a science behind it. I'm too dumb to know. Would you take the genetic test to learn if you had it? Like two of her kids did it and one didn't.
That's funny. I was going to ask you that. For something like that, yeah, I would want to know. So I can kind of start building the safeguards or, figure out how to plan my life out or, you know, like, yeah, I want to know. If I, like for example, if I wasn't married, I'd think to myself, would I want to get married? Would I want to have kids? If I'm gonna have this decline, I don't know that I would necessarily want to do that, or if I did, I'd be like, let me get a head start now, or you know what I mean? Shit like that. Yeah, I definitely want to know so I can kind of just make sure that I'm in the best place possible when it does hit.
Yeah, I would 100% want to know. More information is better. Well, in this case, I think more information is
Yeah.
better. But there is something too. The reason why a lot of doctors, especially like diagnostic, hate full body scans is because
Hmm.
everybody has like a piece of cancer somewhere, and like most of it will never progress to like a level where it's actually
Malignant.
illness. But if
Hmm.
you scan a whole body, every scar, every this, and now you're just wearing these people to death for a lot of times in elderly men,
Hmm.
they'll get prostate cancer but they're so old that they'll die of something else before the prostate cancer ever presents as an illness. And
Yeah.
so it's like you weigh the cost of treating them and it's like you
Hmm.
can like knowing you're sick before you have any symptoms that does lower your quality of life even before it's time to lower your quality of life. There is something to
Hmm.
that, but I would want to know something this serious,
Yes.
especially
Yeah.
when
Like
it
something
comes
like
to
that. Yeah.
especially when it comes to like this is something that we know genetically is passed on. My kids are coin
Right.
flip to get it. Yeah, 100% would want to know this one. Um,
Yeah, I agree. Actually, so I was going to ask you, her two of her kids took the test, one didn't. The one kid that had the results, or one of her kids was turned out to have it, or was going to have it, basically. Uh, would you have told your mom when you got those results?
uh, the morbid thing is she wouldn't remember anyway, but but um, I would want, giving that she was going to deteriorate in a way that like, what does she have a good year left of memories? I would want her to just have those good that I wouldn't even tell her I took the test. I would just take it, have the
Yeah,
information
yeah, I wouldn't
myself.
tell her.
I would just tell her I didn't take the test, and then after she, lost it or whatever, maybe I let my dad know. Um,
Yeah, okay,
in this case. But like, no, she's got a year left of not a year left of life, but a year left of the mom that you know. And
right.
like, you know, I'll take the
Why
test. I'll
ruin
just tell
that?
her no, I'm not taking the test, and just let her, because like it's not her fault. She didn't know she was passing this gene on, but she's
Right,
gonna
and I
blame
wouldn't want to put
herself.
that guilt or blame on her anyway. Yeah,
Right.
that's probably my biggest reason behind not telling her. Uh, And also, like, I love my mom, but she's not great with bad news. So I definitely wouldn't. Nah, I'd be like, fuck that. I'm gonna save you some anxiety, and I'll just keep that to myself.
Yeah, you just I would want to know, but I would want to be the only person. Though. I've said before, like even if I knew I was like sick, I wouldn't tell anybody.
Hmm.
I just would because once you tell people you're sick, you become your illness. You're not even their person
Right.
anymore. And
And that's a
so,
big point of the movie.
so like if I, was
Yeah.
diagnosed with some cancer or something, nobody would know beyond like if I had a wife or something. But
Yeah. And,
just
and honestly, keep it a buck, depending on how long I had left to live, I might just take care of myself.
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I mean? If it was like some long-term shit, all right, I'll just live it out, whatever. If it's some short-term shit, I'd be like, fuck it, I'll just clock out.
Yeah, I mean, t cancer treatment's gone pretty far. It just all depends, but yeah, I don't think I would Chadwick Boseman it, man. Y'all would find out
Yeah, Jack
when
Bozeman. Yeah.
when the IG post hit. I just
Yeah,
I wouldn't want it. So you got anything else for
I
Act
feel
One?
you. Um, yeah, actually, yeah. I forgot we talked about New York or the city of New York earlier. We're talking about the Knicks and the Spurs. New York has to be the worst possible place on earth to be when you have some sort of cognitive decline, like onset, early onset Alzheimer's. Like, imagine she was like on a subway
Yeah,
and got lost or had an episode. And remember, she went running without her phone. She had the habit of running without her phone. Like, she could have been anywhere,
yeah.
in a city like that, and people in that city are mean as fuck too. They're not going to help you out. So,
She did wear the bracelet,
yeah,
the memory impaired bracelet. I think what is it? New Yorkers are what is it? Nice and
was it nice to each other, mean to everybody else?
no, it's something like I forget the saying, but like I think New Yorkers are certainly rude, but that's the
Yeah.
culture of everyone being on the way. But
Hmm.
I think if some old lady was having a memory loss episode, that she'd be all right. But no, I mean,
But remember, she's not old, so they would just think she was
that's
maybe
true. She's
insane.
early onset. Yeah, that's true. And she's in Columbia, so that's right in the heart of New York City. So
Yeah.
that is true. That is true. And there's no cars. I mean, these people were rich,
Right.
so they could afford cars, but you get what I mean. So
Yeah.
anything else for Act One?
Um, there is a couple like dark, funny moments in this movie,
Yeah.
where she was arguing with her husband, and she's like, "I'm sorry, I have Alzheimer's." When she just didn't want to go to the dinner.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because it's like I thought that she did forget. But it almost becomes like like she forgot, but she was still cognitive, aware enough to know to
Right.
pretend she didn't, and so because she didn't want to worry him. And because it
Hmm.
clearly was out of character for her when she come home
Right.
jogging and he had completely missed it and the meeting was important to him. I think she
Yeah.
honestly forgot because of the illness, but she was smart enough to play it off like she just skipped it
Cover
on
it up
purpose.
like,
The lesser of
yeah.
two evils, and so
Right. It's like either I
um,
forget now or I forget that when we're there, or something when we're there. So,
they
you
did
know,
a good job of illustrating how hard it is on the husband to like kind of he still has to live his like his life didn't just stop.
right.
And it's like your wife isn't dying, she's just losing her mind. And so
Yeah.
there's an end to your wife in sight, but there's not an end to like this ordeal. And
Right.
so that sucks.
And they didn't make a good job of showing that because you do feel like she's dying.
Yeah.
Like that's the experience I had like watching the movie. It felt like when she was like whenever she was preparing food, I was like, oh, is she gonna have an accident and cut herself? And you know what I mean, shit like that. So I think they did a great job of showing like again, it's not a death, but you are losing the person that you once knew. You know, and
I mean, Alice died, but like the body is
the
still
body
there,
is still
and
there.
it's just like
Yeah.
that's almost worse because it's like
Right.
you never get to move on. I'm
Yeah.
sure,
It's almost like every day's a funeral.
yeah, I'm sure. Well, the daughter probably just gave up the acting thing to be her full-time caregiver, and they could afford
Yeah.
home aides and things like that. But It's gonna be hard. He mean shit. He moved to well, spoiler alert. He moved to Harvard or Minnesota Mayo Clinic.
Minnesota,
So
yeah, and even like I think, and this story obviously is devastating and sad, but this is the happy end of the spectrum because they were so off. They could get her the care she needs, and a lot of people, if you're not in that position financially, what do you do?
you they let him die basically. On that morbid
Yeah.
note, Act Two, fighting for footing. As the disease progresses, Alice fights to maintain her autonomy and connection to her career and family. She creates a folder on her computer with a series of basic questions to test herself daily, alongside the hidden, devastating video instruction manual for her future self, trigger warning, suicide, all the above. I said earlier, I love that they didn't do dramatic shit like make her yell an ex's name or insult someone
Oh,
inappropriately.
yeah,
And but
yeah,
like there's a tension in waiting on those like they were making out at the beach house and
yeah.
I just was like she's gonna call him an ex or something. And it just
Oh,
never happened and I just thought
yeah,
that it was nice that they didn't take that cheap uh trope out, but the tension from waiting on it was good. It's a really well-made
yeah.
movie, man. The way they worked the cameras to show how disoriented she was
Hmm.
and it just the
They
movie
blurred
was
the
in good
background
hands.
sometimes.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good. It's really, really well made.
yeah, I agree. A little bit off topic, but it is slowly related to, loosely related to this movie. Have you seen? There's a reel that went viral the other day, or TikTok or something, and it's about how like working in an old people's home.
No.
They like lose their memory and stuff. And the joke was basically like they lose their memory, but they can still remember to be racist.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Um, I think I would love to see some actual percentages on that, but I mean, it happens, I'm sure. Um, yeah. I mean, it's like the Tourette's thing.
Right, right.
I don't know what to do with that, but I would love to see some
Yeah,
actual data on that because I think people are gassing it a little bit. But yeah, I have seen those
yeah.
jokes before for sure. Which is
Um,
why I'm glad it's just like the movie didn't take those cheap dramatic
right.
shots. Like, oh, she's gonna call his girlfriend a whore. It's like, like
Yeah.
that's just cheap. So
Hmm. I agree. Oh yeah, so even like speaking of, the deterioration, like when they showed her finally like having an accident because she couldn't find the bathroom,
yeah,
that was very tastefully done. It
yeah,
wasn't some, camp. She slipped in her own piss and
yeah,
or in a public space or some shit like that. It was very tactfully done, and like you just felt this like you almost knew it was going to happen during
yeah.
the scene because you're like, oh no, this is where it really gets worse for her, and you kind of see the level of the loss of memory.
That's when it fell off a cliff. Because she comes
Yeah.
outside and she's like, "When we going to dinner?" He's like, "Monday." When so and so
Hmm.
Sunday, and she goes inside and comes out and asks the same question, and then
Yeah.
she's walking around the house and you kind of knew she was looking for the bathroom, and
Hmm.
then cognitive decline is terrifying. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like I'll take anything over that. Like losing your mind like that, and
Yeah.
like that feeling of like you're in your home and you don't know where anything is, and you just
Hmm.
can't. It's like remembering a movie title, but it's where your bathroom is.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I
Like,
didn't even think about it like that. Shit, that's
like,
crazy.
that's insane, man. And you're not elderly. You're, a relatively young
Yeah.
woman. It's
Even like remember she was in the refrigerator and she pulled out a bottle of shampoo,
yeah.
like subtle shit like that. Yeah, man, that's tough, man. I wouldn't wish that on
Uh,
anybody. I mean, obviously
no,
cliche
and then
to
like
say, but like that's just man.
the pre-suicide note, and
Hmm.
it's like she wasn't aware because like you're not if you're reaching the point where you're not remembering the logic games, you're not going to be able to like, and obviously they showed the scene like she's not going to be able to follow those simple instructions.
Yeah. And even that was really well done because honestly, when she the first act she recorded in the first act,
Yeah.
I thought she was saying take these pills every day. I didn't think she meant take them all at once. I didn't realize that what she was saying until the second time that clip came around.
And then she like walks up, and then she can't, and then she walks down. Well, that's another act,
Spills
but
the
like
pills. Yeah.
it's just they did a really good job with it. But speaking of the logic games that she had, man, do you have any logic games that you play to stay sharp?
Hmm. I do crossword puzzles every now and then. Not super often. But I do those from time to time. Um, I mean, I mostly just like ask myself questions, kind of keep myself abreast of what I'm remembering, things of that nature. Like if I'm reading a book, I'll ask myself questions about why would the character do this? Why would the character do that? I'm almost in conversation with the book, to try to make sure I'm sharp and you know things like that. Or I'll just like look up a random topic and just read things about that. I just try to keep my mind as fresh and engaged as possible when I have the mind space to do that. Um, I think that's probably the things I do most. I mean, like I write a lot, but you can't read a lot. You can't write well if you don't read.
Yeah.
So like I'll read, like a lot of poetry and stuff to kind of sharpen my, literary devices, metaphors. You need more references, things of that nature. Those are probably the biggest things that I do to kind of keep my mind sharp.
Speaking of poetry, one of the things I do is reciting rap lyrics, but like I'll just cut the
Mm,
track off and just see
okay.
how far I can get before I stumble. And obviously, you can't look
Hmm.
them up. Um, you'd be surprised because remember when you were a kid and you just knew every song?
Yeah,
The new
yeah.
songs are harder, and it's like you know if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And it's just like
Hmm.
it's harder to remember songs than it used to be. Just like I think it's like the same way it's like easier to learn a language when you're young.
Right.
And so I love to just cut the track off,
Hmm.
recite the verse as long as I can, and when I stumble, go like listen to
Okay.
it again and redo that. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
lately, what like I can there's verses I can like just no music, no nothing, just recite them, and
Hmm.
just add new ones to the queue and different things like that, and just try to learn new
Yeah.
verses. It's harder than it sounds. People try it. Um,
Yeah.
one thing I'm doing lately, so a tech forward way, using AI for good is I have an
Hmm.
AI chat in Gemini that's just like reteaching me algebra. And so I'm just like,
Okay.
we're basically it's just like freshman algebra all over again. And
Yeah.
it's like reteaching me things. And a lot of it comes back quick because it uses real world examples, but I'm like, give me this
Right.
example, no hints, and then I'll work through it on a piece of paper and and
Okay.
it's just kind of it's like more or less hiring a tutor.
Yeah.
And so like
Interesting.
relearning algebra concepts as an adult is good useful. And Sudoku, I have a Sudoku puzzle book that I bring in my
Okay.
office backpack, get slow at work, fuck with that. And
Hmm.
the New York Times crossword puzzle are
Yeah.
those are the things I do to
Interesting.
just make sure it's like there's if you ever watch The West Wing, the president in The West Wing develops
Hmm.
multiple sclerosis, I think. And
Okay.
one of the ways, because he's president, you have to keep sharp cognitively. Believe it or not, this used to be a matter of national concern. Uh, whether the president was like not too
Right.
old for the job and old and
Yeah.
infirm.
Yeah.
But he would play chess with his chief of staff every day to make sure he still was
Okay.
sharp. And so, like, it's just like little things like that to make sure I'm staying on top because, you can get dumb if you don't use it. So you got to keep the
No,
brain sharp. It's like any other
I
muscle.
think about that a lot. It's like when you have kids, you got to remember everything that they need to learn in school, so you can actually help them with the homework.
Yeah. And it ain't, yeah, I have a like I don't think the general public schools are rigorous enough in math, but like it's harder than you think. And so
Yeah.
there's no reason why middle school students can't start on algebra. Why are we waiting until high school for this? And
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah.
like we just there's nothing like we anyways, long stories. We're too much, be your whole self and not enough math and reading. We don't.
I agree.
Schools need to be
And
teaching kids how to read and do math.
yeah,
And
and I
once we get
think
that back to up to regular, then we can do the extracurriculars.
yeah,
And
and
so,
I think as adults, it's really important to remember to keep learning too.
yeah,
Like in school, you learned literally like 50 things a day.
yeah,
And as an adult, not so much because you're
yeah,
just doing whatever your job is. You're doing that same thing over and over again, unless you get promoted.
yeah,
So it's like you got to really work hard to make sure, like, damn, did I learn something today? Did I learn something this week? Did I read something? Did I use any sort of skill set other than what my job requires? Did I do any math today? Things like that. So I think that stuff is really important to kind of keep yourself sharp. if for nothing else, so that you age well, and also just so that you're not just a zombie out here.
Not a zombie, not just like doom scrolling on your phone. That's just brain rot. And so,
Yeah.
even when I just like watch a movie for the pod and my phone's away, like I can feel my attention span return. I've said this on the pod before, but like,
Mhm.
just get off the phones and do something that, keeps you sharp because if you don't use it, you will
Yeah.
lose it. So, anything else for Act Two?
Or something that really cool, interesting. I saw somebody say is if you're gonna doom scroll, at least do it while you're on the treadmill or like while
Yeah,
you're taking a
that's
walk.
true.
You know.
Do it while you're taking a walk, don't get me wrong, you can have some fun podcasts, but have some smart ones too, like ours.
Yeah.
And just like mix it in a little bit. Like we, said earlier, like I could couch rot with the best of them, but maybe 10 hours of video games in a
Yeah.
weekend or in a day, it's a lot. Get up, get some air,
Yeah.
hang out with some friends like that. Your social muscles matter too.
Yeah.
And I'm not the best at it, but you have to use it. That the people say they
Mhm.
have social anxiety, and when they're in crowds, it's like, well, it's a muscle. You haven't used it in a while. That's that
Right.
tension. And when you go to the gym and that weight is harder than it, and you remember. That's the same feeling when you're
Because
out
you
social.
stopped testing
Yeah, you
yourself.
haven't been out in a while and you don't know what to say or like that. That's that muscle
That's
tension building.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can't. Part of life is saying a joke that doesn't land and navigating
Hmm.
that. Like it's not
Yeah.
the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's
You
like
need to talk to people that are not going to connect with you so you know what works.
correct. So,
Um, shit, I lost my train of thought.
anything
Oh,
else
and
for
also,
Act
if you're
Two?
gonna play video games, find some games that make you think, you know.
Yeah, I mean, just mix it in. A couple
Yeah.
strategy games won't hurt. Little Civ, little Sim City. Mix it in there with
Yeah.
your Call of Duty. So
I think sports games are good for that too, because it's all strategy at the end of the day.
that is true. That is true.
Um, that's all for Act Two, I think.
All right,
Oh,
okay.
actually, I did want to
But
actually ask you, was the husband a dick?
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Why would make him a dick?
I don't know. I just felt like he wasn't quite as. I mean, obviously it was a tough situation, but I just felt like he wasn't quite as kind as he could have been to her.
It was great, man. I thought he played it realistically. He wasn't a knight in shining armor, but
Yeah.
um, there's a scene where they go get ice cream and he's like telling
Mhm.
her like that's Columbia where you used to work and
Yeah.
um he asked her something like is she just like I didn't want to go and he just stayed. I thought he was
Oh
great.
yeah. He asked her, "Are you tired? Do you still want to be here?"
Yeah, and she said yes. And I think honestly I think he was subtly asking her if she wanted to go to a home. And because I think after
Yeah, I
that is when
think
the home
so.
aid came in, and so I think that was
Hmm.
kind of him asking her. Movie again, the movie's real smart. They don't beat you over the head with anything.
Yeah, because I almost was like, is he asking her, do you want to be here like here on Earth, or do you want to be here like in New York? I wasn't sure exactly because remember he was considering going to Minnesota, so I wasn't sure exactly what he meant by that.
There's a whole lot in. I mean, look, I get if people watching it expecting it to be a fairy tale, he didn't fulfill a fairy tale portrayal.
Right.
But I thought it was real in the sense that like he didn't ask for any of this, but it is till death do us part, and he's still with his
Hmm.
wife. Even when he left, because I mean, he's a young guy.
Right.
He's going to the Mayo Clinic to research something important. I forget, but he's like,
Hmm.
I'm going to hire you a homemaid. I'm going to bring our youngest daughter in and basically pay for her existence to take. I'm basically paying her to be your aide as well.
Your
And I'm
home
close
health aide.
enough, but like, his world has to keep spinning too. It's
Yeah,
not,
that's the
it's,
tough part because he does stuff to pay the bills and all
yeah,
that.
like
That shit cannot be
the
cheap.
mortgage ain't don't care.
Right. Not at
Lights
all. His
don't
bills don't
care.
stop.
And so I think the hardest part about illness and death and grief is that everyone else's world keeps spinning and you
Right.
want them to stop and it's just not how it works. So no, I don't think he was a dick. I
Okay.
think he was real.
That's a fair
But
assessment.
Act three, what remains? Alice's cognitive abilities fade to a point where she can no longer read her own notes or remember her past achievements. In a powerful culmination, Lydia reads her a beautiful theatrical monologue, and when she asks her mother what the story was about, Alice manages to whisper a single word, love. By this point, she had completely almost lost, well, completely almost is doesn't make sense, but she almost lost her ability to speak.
Yeah, I was
Um,
like, is she stuttering or can she not? I wasn't sure if she couldn't talk
That's end stage
anymore.
Alzheimer's, man. Like they become mute almost. So,
Yeah.
um, the movie does a good job of framing it everything through Alice's eyes. Like a lot of these movies where
Hmm.
the someone is sick in the family, it's about what the family's going through and other people.
Right.
But like I felt like I was like Alice was almost a narrator of it, and so I
Hmm.
thought that was a great creative choice. What you got for Act Three?
Yeah, me too. Like I love the scene where she's sitting there and it's like it's almost like blurred out because you can't really see. You can tell it's the husband and the oldest daughter and her husband talking, but you can't really see them because the way that the effect they use visually. And they're talking about Alex like she's not there, and then she kind of like says like it's hot in here, almost as if to say like, "Hey, I'm here. Like I can still hear you. I'm still Alice." You know. I thought that scene was excellent. And it just showed that the fact that she had just completely lost control of her life. There's no agency anymore on her part. That everyone's there is making decisions on her behalf.
Or just like the when she lost her phone and the suicide attempt went bad, and
Hmm.
the next day they find her phone and she's like, I was looking for that last night, and he whispers to his daughter, that was a month ago. Um, they did a good.
Oh
It felt
yeah,
like last night watching the movie because you're watching an analysis from her viewpoint.
right.
And so I thought that was really good. That kind of reinforced that this is Alice's story, not a family dealing with
Hmm.
someone with Alzheimer's, because I felt like it was
Correct.
a scene before. Felt like last
Hmm.
night. And then he just like he whispers to his daughter that was a month ago. And it's just like, man. And like you see a scene where like the daughter's pregnant and then the babies are here. And like in her head,
Right.
that
Yeah, yeah,
probably
yeah.
was very fast. But
And she wasn't showing when they first told them about the pregnancy. Remember, she was like, "I'm
correct.
5 weeks pregnant, but it's early. But given your mental state, I'm just going to tell you now." You
Yeah.
know.
Or it's just like she's talking to her boss about her performance, and then the next time you see Columbia, she doesn't even remember it. She's just like,
Yeah.
they're eating ice cream, and she's like, "Oh, I used to work there." And he's like, "Yeah." Well, he's
Hmm.
like, "Do you remember what that is?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "You used to work there."
Yeah. That was
Rough,
really good too.
rough movie, man.
Yes, this movie was very tough emotionally.
Yeah,
About as tough as About Time was too.
yeah.
With the ending scene with his father and everything. Also wanted to shout out the writers and directors of this movie, Richard Glatzer and Wash Westmoreland. Um, so one of the writers and directors, Richard, he actually got diagnosed with ALS while he was like in production, getting the rights and stuff for the movie. And towards the end of production, he basically had lost the ability to speak, and he basically had to type on an iPad. And he actually passed shortly after the movie made, so it was made. So the movie are imitating life kind of in a way in this movie. So they want to shout them both out. And also just like it does a great job of making you feel what you're supposed to feel on a human level
Yeah,
without it being the plot of the movie, if that
yeah.
makes sense. You know, it wasn't just
Um,
like Alzheimer's is sad. It was, you're a human who has a cognitive, issue, but you can still be you on certain days. And also, while you have your memories, make more of them.
right. And just like how everyone has to manage her, the babies are born, and like they don't know if she can hold it, him, her,
Right.
whatever. And yeah, I mean, I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but it's just a professional, well-crafted movie. And
Literally.
we give
Yeah.
the Oscars a lot of shit, but like her winning Best Actress, sometimes they just get
Was
it
not
right.
a There was
Like
not a
this,
sympathy performance. This wasn't Oscar bait. This was a
no,
phenomenal performance by a phenomenal actress.
yeah, I mean, it sounds you don't even feel like you're watching a movie, and that's the best
No,
thing
it
I
really
could
feels like a
ask for.
documentary.
Right. And I'm like, damn, do she she have a cognitive issue? Like,
No,
Julianne Moore
yeah,
is. Yeah, well crafted. Kristen Stewart is perfect. Alec Baldwin
absolutely.
is he plays the husband well. Like you asked me in the previous segment, was he like bad? I'm like, no. It's just like this isn't a fairy tale. This is like this is, if
Yeah.
it to make it feel like a movie, you would have made him be like, oh, I'm gonna give up Mayo Clinic and we're gonna, and I'm gonna hold
Yeah,
your
either
hand as you
that.
die. And it's
Yeah,
like
it's either
that's
that or he leaves her for the nurse or something like that, you
right.
know?
And it's like, no, man, real life, the world has to keep spinning because like
Yeah,
those bills got to get paid, and there's
right.
no one stops.
Yeah. And as much as it obviously is not her fault, it's out of everybody's control. I don't know how you couldn't be frustrated in a situation where you
Yeah.
have to be super aware of everything because the person you're caring for just can't, can't.
You're laying in bed one night thinking about what you're researching and what's going on at work, and your wife's like, "I gotta
Hmm.
talk to you. I'm going losing my mind." And you're
Hmm.
like, "What? It's two. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And that's the last day of the life you knew. It's
Right.
over.
Yeah.
It's like that's the idea that people would handle that well. I thought he handled it well, but the idea that people would navigate that perfectly is just not
Right.
real. It's a fairy
That's
tale.
true. Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
Alec Baldwin, he was great in his role because he didn't like he had a lot of scenes. He was in a lot of scenes, but he wasn't in a lot of scenes, if that makes sense. In a lot of these scenes, he's kind of just reacting to things, but he did a great job of like not so much treating her with sympathy, but just caring without pitying.
yeah, just like leveling with her. Like he would just
Yeah.
hand her the phone, and he just says that was a month ago. Or like when she sees her daughter perform, which by the way, terrible play.
I didn't know
And
what the hell that was.
yeah, oh man.
I was like, is this Hamlet or something?
I'm gonna go back to season act one and be like, yeah, you need to listen to your mom and go back to school.
Yeah, I was like, is this supposed to be good? I don't know.
But she walks up to her and she clearly forgot that was her daughter, and she's just asking her like, "Well, when you gonna stay in town a long time?" And then
Yeah.
the other daughter is like, because the other daughter was kind of like a little bit colder about it, and she's just
Right.
like, "Mom, that's your daughter." And then he just looks, and
Yeah.
I could tell in that scene that he knew it was getting worse, but he hadn't told the children. And like,
Yeah.
and I listen, I just thought he was a good husband. I don't like
You're right. I think you're
there's
right.
that
Yeah.
scene. That's the scene where I like you could tell he had been hiding the decline and just
Hmm.
it just it
He couldn't
freaked
hide it
it
anymore.
freaked the kids out that she literally
Yeah.
forgot her daughter. So
And even like a testament to the writing of the movie is the questions that she asked show that she's forgotten things. It's never who are you?
yeah,
It's always like a because that could be a really easy way to say like I
yeah,
don't remember shit. But it was, how long will you be in town?
yeah,
When is such and such coming to town? Nice to see you, or
yeah.
sorry, nice to meet you to the girlfriend, shit like that. Like it was very subtle because if you're just in passing in a conversation, you may not even notice that they forgot some simple shit.
Or just how often do you ask a person, "Who are you?" That only happens
Well,
in movies.
there's that.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's just it portrayed her slips and her catching, like the way that in the beginning she's able to slip and catch it
Hmm.
and like try to play it off, but because everyone else is sharp, they know she's playing it off and they just go along
Yeah.
with it. And so,
Right.
it's Barry. I'm giving it the game away here, but it's one of my favorite movies, man. And so,
Okay.
you got anything else for Act Three?
Yeah, man, that speech she gave was
Yeah.
whew,
When she dropped the papers, I thought it
heartbreaking.
was
I
over.
was like, oh no. Yeah, literally, I was like, oh no. I think I paused the movie and was like, oh God, I can't watch this. Like, I can't handle emotionally watching this. I thought she was gonna have the pages out of order and she was gonna fuck up her speech. Again, it just did a really good job of you making you feel like you were literally on the roller coaster with her, you know? I love that line she said, I'm not suffering, I'm struggling, you know? I thought that was a beautifully written. Well, the whole speech was beautiful, but that was perfectly encapsulated the experience of the performance and the experience of the movie, you know? Um, Damn, that shit hurt.
Yeah, it did. Yes, it
Um,
did.
I think that's all I got.
I close
I
the
guess I got
question. Go ahead.
okay. I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say yeah. So my closing question to you would be if you had a butterfly file, what she had where she was kind of reminding her of certain things or whatever, like what would you tell yourself to remember?
Um, what was in there? Like birthday name? I mean, she went.
Yeah,
I mean, that stuff is if you're not remembering that, you're way into decline. But
right.
I if questions that like favorite TV show of all time, favorite rapper of all time,
Hmm.
uh, favorite bar in every city that you lived in would be a good one.
Okay.
But like that would be a good one. I mean, those are almost like distress signals at this point. If you
Yeah.
but no,
True.
she had the birthday, day of the week,
Hmm.
that stuff. But like, yeah, I would have favorite TV show of all time, The Wire, favorite rapper of all time, Jay-Z, favorite um bar in every city, I won't mention it here, but like things like that are unique to me that
Hmm.
if I forgot, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So how about you, man?
uh yeah, I mean the birthday and stuff I hope that would be really ingrained. Or of course I've just worst case scenario put that in a note. I think probably I'd probably maybe write the names of like my favorite playlists, or my most important playlists, that I listen to when when I'm like sad or something like that. Maybe like my comfort shows, my comfort movies. Um, yeah, imagine like forgetting like your favorite movie and never
Yeah.
being able to see it again. Shit like that. Maybe like probably write down maybe like gift ideas for people that I care, like things that I generally buy for gifts for people that I care about, stuff like that.
Fair enough. Random topic, kind of related, but we can close
Hmm.
with this. So, there's a DNA lab out of, I don't know, I think Boston, that is like advancing pretty far along in like genetic testing for embryos and like being able to test
Okay.
for certain
Right.
illnesses and almost like editing it out, or you could pick an embryo without it. Would you use that technology to like edit out chronic illnesses from any future children you could have?
Hmm. Um. Uh, I think we'd have to depend on the level of like the illness itself, I think, or the ailment, whatever words you want to categorize certain things in.
So if you were told that
Um,
your embryo has like a 10% chance of like genetic blindness, would you
mhm.
edit that out if you could? Well, 10 is too
uh,
big. Let's say
what
1%.
about to say 1% of blindness. I would not. I would not edit that out. I think part of being a parent is taking on whatever comes with the child.
I mean, the rebuttal would be you're still a parent. You're just, but
I mean, yeah.
I would not because I just feel like that's playing with evolution in the sense that like you don't know
Hmm.
you could be editing out something that's actually beneficial and
Hmm.
you know you can't really edit out cancer because the body needs to replicate cells. It's just that
Right.
sometimes a person's cells run snake eyes and just
Yeah. And also like I mean, not to sound cliche with it, but like, okay, say like, I mean, if Stevie Wonder wasn't blind, would he have become Stevie Wonder? I don't know.
yeah, it's a thing too. Like you're not just eliminating those traits in a vacuum. You're eliminating all of that comes with that. And so it's
the
like,
consequence, the confluence of events of whatever the person's life.
yeah. I mean, we get, nature doesn't select out prostate cancer because you need those surges of testosterone to get through childhood and to get through reproduction. And so like
Right.
you edit out, the prostate cancer gene and your son just is low T for the rest of his life. Like there are pros and cons to everything. And so like you don't
Yeah, it's
know
it's
we don't know enough to know what we're doing.
yeah, and it's like especially in the society of like perfection and hypersymmetry and everything. You know what I mean? It's like okay, let's say you could edit out long limbs or something like that. Like, we don't have Wemby.
Yeah.
Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain anomalies are meant to take place that are to be celebrated or can lead to other things, and also it can bleed into like maybe like ethnic cleansing and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like who's to say they can one day they can't edit out melanin or whatever? I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, it's
spitballing.
it's like a lot of diseases in old life are the result of things that were positive in youth. And so
Hmm.
because evolution, from an evolutionary standpoint, old people are useless, they don't reproduce. And so there's
Hmm.
not really a lot of reason for evolution to select out like their illnesses. Alzheimer's is basically, our body, the plaque that builds in the brain, the amygdala, whatever. Like when you're younger, there's like almost like a janitorial system that sweeps that out. But
Hmm.
because we've only been old for so many years in the evolutionary chain, we just haven't
Right.
evolved for that to keep going for the rest of our life because it's a waste
Correct.
of our, limited energy supply. So it just builds up later in life, and some people develop the illness. So,
Right.
no, I would not play. To long story short, I would not play those games because I don't know. You think you're doing one thing and you could be doing something catastrophic on the other end. There's no life without risk, and
Yeah.
you know evolution selects for things in a certain way, and if you're going in after the fact
Hmm.
and changing things around, you just don't know what you're going to do. So,
Correct.
well, you rate it.
Uh, I love this movie, man. I thought it was really great. I'm not gonna give it 5 stars though. Just because I feel like Act One was a little could have been paced a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it 4.5 stars.
I give it five. It's tight. I get they could have spread their wings a little bit more, but it's perfectly
Hmm.
casted. It hits all the notes.
Absolutely.
It doesn't fall into cliches, and it's compelling, man. So, and
Yeah,
Julianne Moore killed it. She got her Best Actress. It's a vehicle for her, and I'm yeah, 5 stars. I don't really have anything else to say about that. So,
I agree.
all right, thanks for listening. My name is Darius. That's D's I love in the area on all socials.
And I'm Jordan. That's Jordan B. Writing on all socials.
Please rate, like, and subscribe. We're at Out the Trunk Pod on all socials. That is Out the Trunk Pod on all socials.
And for any ongoing movie recommendations, feel free to reach out to us via email at outthetrunkpod@gmail.com. That's outthetrunkpod@gmail.com. That's a wrap. Tune in next week. We're going to be next episode. We're going to be reviewing Sandlot.
All right,
Y'all take it
y'all.
easy.